allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing I'll start with is a correction on the agenda. It's not a correction, it's a change on the agenda. We had as number 5 on the agenda, the noise ordinance. And the history behind that was 2 years ago, some of the businesses approached me about talking about changing the noise ordinance. Then COVID hit and it kind of went in the backyard. Then last year, all the businesses that were involved came in to have a discussion and we talked about it. And we left it in their hands to see if, they wanted to make a proposal of some sort. And whatever reasons, they never came up. So they just approached us again recently, the businesses, to talk about the noise ordinance. And I put it on the agenda, but after I did, I polled the town board and we felt that it's not really the right time to do that. It's too close to the season. We need time to, look at it, to have some tests with sound and go forward. So I think what we're going to do is, we're definitely going to keep it where it is, and we're going to be real observant this year. We'll ask the chief, to,
Get
keep
some
records
data.
for us, get the data, and, we'll pay attention, and it's something we can discuss in the future. So that's off the agenda if anybody's here just for that. Okay, first one on the agenda is the Historical Society is having a dance fundraiser. We approved the Historical Society's play this summer, and now this is for their fundraiser. So Nanette, are you here?
I'm here. Thank you.
What do you want to tell us about it?
Well,
I don't have it in front of me.
this is a dance party, not a sit-down dinner, and we chose the 1960s because in 1966, Andrew Fisk reinvented or restarted the Shelter Island Historical Society. So it's part of our 100-year anniversary, and we all love 1960s music, so we figured that would be a nice connection. We have submitted our permit for the event. You have all the information there that for the tent, for the what else? The dance floor. We don't need a liquor permit because the wine and the beer people have their own. So I guess the question is about the noise. We will have a DJ with amplification. He'll be under a tent. I'm not exactly sure what you would like me to report on, but
Chief?
Yes, Supervisor, I would bring up, and if I can share my screen for 2 seconds. She took it away from me. I'm not sure it's being shared there. I'd like to share my screen. So I just point to this because a few years ago, or last year, looked at exemptions to the noise code and that those exemptions be authorized by the town board. So, and that the event, be for charitable purposes and that the event must raise at least $1,000 for the named charity. So when this event was brought up, I would recommend because of the nature of the event that they are asking for an amendment to their approval and have them requesting an exemption to 92-6 under one of those outlines for an exemption to the noise code for that evening.
Okay, and other than noise, any concerns? How do you handle the parking and the leaving at the end of it?
She outlined it.
Yeah, I think that was discussed prior.
yeah, I think we
Yeah.
talked about that. Yes, so thank you, Chief Reed. It is our major fundraiser this year. We're not doing the traditional black and white sit-down dinner, so this is a very important event for us. We hope to raise considerable funds through ticket prices and auction and raffle. So it's an important event for us.
Now, what's the date?
The date is July 30th.
Okay. All right, it's pretty much standard. We, do it every year. Anybody,
No, I don't know. I have nothing.
anybody have comments, questions?
So so Jim, were you just saying that and you wanted the application to note that this is a fundraiser, right?
No, the code specifically says that they need town board approval for such exemption prior to the beginning of the event. So when they submitted their original application, they did not request an exemption from the code. When it was brought to light, they felt that they should request an exemption from the code. So that's why Nanette is here today.
Okay.
Okay,
So when
I
we do
think
our
we're all good to go.
when we do
Yeah.
our resolution, then we just have to include that.
Okay.
So is there a form or something we should be submitting?
No.
We'll make note of it when we pass the.
Resolution.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Janelyn here for the Arts and Crafts Annual Show. Janelyn, you want to join us?
What do you
It says
need?
here incomplete, so I don't know who's. Dottie, is this, do you have the application or?
Yes, I did. I circulated it.
Christina,
And the
do you
chief
have-
has asked for more information. So Janelyn did send in the layout of the show.
Okay. Any changes from?
No, it's the same show that I've been running for over 25 years and we're on our 58th year. So, nothing's changed. It's all the same.
Chief, you have anything?
No, Janelyn, just so you know, from my perspective, I'm not trying to be hard line on these things, but we have an application process, and I know you've been doing it successfully for many years. The board doesn't always stay the same, and a lot of the people change at different times. So those applications should be completed in completeness prior to our approval. The police department is prepared to assist as we've done in the past. And I'm not sure if Brian has made comment from Highway or who else needs to comment on this.
Not yet.
Right.
No.
August 20th.
Is there
So,
food,
so
Janelyn?
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm
BJ just
sorry.
asked me something,
sorry,
Jim.
Jim.
I'm sorry.
So Janelyn, I would just ask you to talk through the entire event, start time, finish time, number of vendors, requests from the town, anything that you feel is appropriate for this event.
Oh, God, sorry. I apologize.
Not the only one.
Start time is 6 a.m. when vendors start showing up. They set up their show, their booth spaces, and then the show itself starts at 10, finishes at 5. Vendors start tearing down between 5 and 7, and usually everybody's off the field by 7. I have Island Portables deliver porta potties. So that there are 3 units there plus a wash stand, a separate wash stand. I get permission from the church to hang the banner across. I get permission from you to hang the banner across. And I get permission from the school to use the grounds. I provide certificates of insurance to all 3 of those entities. The vendors, usually about 100 vendors every time shows up. Last year was the first year back after a year off. We had about 53 vendors. It was a great start for a comeback with still COVID in the midst. I'm expecting a regular full-on show this year. One food vendor, Ashley Knight, will be parked in the spot where I put the food vendors. And advertising's in August, although press releases go out prior to look for vendors, to look for, and then to alert people that the show is taking place. And normally in the past, all I ever asked of you guys was permission to put the banner across, but last year I had to do an event outdoor assembly permit, and that was the first time. And with the $100 and $200, I should say, and so,
I think the reason for that, Janelyn, is, again, we're getting challenged on just about everything we do. So someone would say, well, they don't have to do it, why do we?
mhm.
I'm just trying to make it all.
Yep. Yep.
Janelyn, the vendors, do they give you the chamber certificates of insurance? Are you covered by them, or is it strictly? you?
No, I don't ask them for that. They have whatever they want to do in terms of sales tax and stuff like that, that is up to them. I'm providing them a plot of earth to set themselves up.
Any questions?
No, it's been a great event,
Yeah.
actually. You know, a lot of people come up to it. Hopefully the weather is good, not too hot. Because I know I've been there, you know, I've set up for.
I like a
6 or
warm
7
day,
years.
but cloudy.
Yeah, not a beach day, so that people, you know,
Yep.
because it is most crowded early in the morning and actually
Mhm.
even before 10 o'clock.
Yep.
But if it's a hot day, by afternoon, by 1 o'clock, 1:30, people are going to the beach. So
Mhm.
do we know if it's opposite this year? Just, are we doing the thing over at the community center with the green
Yes,
options? and-
they always coordinate.
All right, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's worked well in the past, right? I mean, because it brings even more people up, I think, when the green options are on the other side of the
Right.
street,
Right.
on the community center, that people go back and forth.
Yep.
And the firehouse sometimes is doing something down at
The country fair is no longer at this point in time.
Okay.
However, I found out that the chicken barbecue is going to be that evening also.
Maybe not.
No.
Oh, maybe not now? Okay, okay,
But
so that's
they're
new
thinking
information.
About another event that they might, again, try to overlap with yours to get the crowd.
Mhm.
But I think it's really early stages.
Okay, you were asking me a question when Jim was talking about,
But you answered it. so
oh, I did. Okay, good. I
thank
don't
you.
know what the question was, but obviously I gave you an answer. Good.
It's very
Okay,
complete, Thank you.
Did we ever get the map? I just.
say that again.
Did you
Yeah,
send us a map?
It's
I'm-
in the SharePoint.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is in
Okay.
SharePoint.
It hasn't changed. Everything is staying the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yep.
I didn't see it in my email.
I can bring it up, Amber, if you want to see it.
Nope, I'll go look for
It's,
it.
yeah,
Thank you.
outdoor assembly permit folder.
I knew we were playing it close with the septic, if that was going to be an issue in the past, you know, where the school was going to go with the septic and, you know, obviously be a lot of digging,
Yeah.
but right now, I think we're going to be out of the clear on that.
Oh, yeah,
I
this
think
summer
we'll be
we are.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Janelyn.
Are
Okay,
you,
all right.
Mr. Supervisor, are you going to be waiving the deposit for police and highway resources?
I think we just charge the application.
I always pay, for the past 2 years now, last year and this year, it was $200, where $100 was non-refundable and $100 was refundable as long as I left the grounds in great
Right.
condition.
We'll keep
But-
track of that.
No, but there's that fee if there's no specific town benefit to cover any of the costs for police and
Gee, she said,
know,
they've been
highway.
doing this for 60 years.
no, but I
That's the
did, no,
benefit that it's
I'm saying that,
I
so I
understand.
just want you to put it on the record
We
Yes,
just-
that
because
there is a
again,
town benefit and we're
Janelyn,
waiving.
The only reason we're discussing this is because we are getting challenged on everything.
Yeah.
So, right, if we don't do it, yeah. So
Who's doing the challenge, though?
uh,
Community members, citizens?
Janelyn, quite
Other local
frankly,
authorities?
frankly, it's in our town code. You should make application every year, just like everybody else does. So we're trying to follow our own policy and procedure.
Mhm.
And we appreciate it. We appreciate all you do. Don't misunderstand this group or even myself in the application process. We appreciate it. It's a nice community event. And I think you're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Jim Colligan, my only question to you would be, does it merit closing School Street for that timeframe for people to walk back and forth like we do for when school's open?
Yeah, I would.
I would.
I think
Okay.
To
so.
be honest with you, it's not a bad idea, you know, but you normally close it down at not at, you know, between 6 and 10 a.m. during the setup. That's a very active place. And most of the vendors, after they set up, park down in the school parking lot.
No, they actually park in the field
Oh, they park in the
behind
field?
that by the tennis courts.
Oh, okay.
So that the school parking lot
be
and
used,
along
right,
the side
okay.
on School Street are
That's a
for
good, that's a
patrons
better idea.
to go shopping. And that's why I asked for the School Street not to be blocked off, because it allowed patrons to come in and park so they could go shopping.
Okay.
So Janelyn, you do not want School Street closed?
I do not want
Okay.
it blocked off. It's not that busy that it's unsafe for
Most
people
people
to
would
walk
like to
back
set
and
up.
forth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, unless they want to go, then they.
okay,
Okay.
Okay,
thank you very much.
so again, I'm just looking for approval for the banner.
Thank you.
Well, actually, you're looking for approval for this whole event.
Yeah. Truth.
I wasn't gonna say it.
All right, I'm sorry.
Thanks, gentlemen.
in the past, I'll go forward.
Okay, next we have Brendan and John here for the 10K run. This is another annual event. Last year, we made some adjustments due to COVID. Brendan, where are we?
Well, thank you, town board for taking the time to meet with us. We're applying for basically sort of a hybrid in the footprint between the 2019 event and the 2021 event. I have a site plan I can share, but I've already shared with Chief Reed if it's necessary.
You might as well.
Sure.
The site plan is very good, Brendan, because it gives us a nice overview of the event and you can talk about the timelines.
So like last year and unlike in 2019, we're going to be staging on School Street instead of pulling them back around here for the corrals of runners and walkers. We're going to be utilizing the American Legion for the portables as in both 2019 and 2021. We will have the standard shelter island tent that we've had every year down in the field. Finish line and start line will be in the exact same location. We'll have parking located here behind the school. We will be looking to start set up on the field and at our check-in area here. It all will happen outside of the school this year, like as we did in 2021 and unlike 2019. We'll be doing setup starting at about 10 a.m. We will start parking at about 3 p.m. and we will start check-in at the FAQ tent, the blue tent on the corner of the Rotary here at 3:30 in the afternoon. We are looking to do a post-race gathering up at the American Legion. We will have food trucks and we will also have beer provided by the Greenport Brewery, which will take care of all permitting around the giveaway of that beer. We would also like to apply for an exemption for the noise ordinance that Chief Reed outlined. In 2021, we were able to donate over $25,000 to various charities within Shelter Island. We also made a donation of about $4,500 to Cohen's Children's Hospital as well. And our timeline for the day, which starts with a 10 a.m. start, a 5:30 setup, I'm sorry, a 5:30 10K start, a 5:50 5K start, which is what we did in 2019 and previous years. We'll end with an 8:30 hard close to the post-race party. So the post-race party would start with, there'd be some music and either on a speaker or maybe even a local band. We haven't hashed that out if we get permission to do that. But that would all wrap up at 8:30 in the evening.
Chief, and how does it work with the beer truck?
So they have done that before. They'll get a beer and wine permit and they'll have to, that permit will outline where that can be consumed and it'll be on site. So the site would be the Legion Hall property. Brendan, one of the questions that I had for you was, so when you finish the race, people are going to gather at the Legion and that's where the post-race awards will be and then followed by a party?
That's right, Chief Reed. We'll be using the egress on that path right up to the American Legion. And in fact, the whole way we're guiding participants to where they get their medal and sort of their giveaway item and their water, will be taking them up that way. And then all of that will be contained to the Legion.
Right. Yeah, Supervisor, just back to your question. There was a year, I guess it was a few years ago, where they had food trucks and alcoholic beverages that were contained by security personnel that the 10K will provide to make sure that those people consume that alcohol on Legion property. They have a shared resource in the school, but there's no alcohol on school property. we kept them on that Legion property by their own staff and did not allow them out into the road or anywhere else while that was being consumed.
Is the building used that day?
No,
No? Okay.
Just the two questions. When you put up that diagram again, the parking behind the school, where you say it's down near the tennis courts, it's up in kind of like a purplish color. Looks like where you drew the box on that, it looks like it's almost on a softball field. I just wanted to look at that again.
Yeah, Jim, you don't have to. The police completely set that up. We set up the
Okay.
parameters and we protect the field. So,
Okay.
and then in the past, they've used a combination of volunteers and Bucks players to assist us with the parking corral up there. So we direct the cars in there and we protect the fields for damage and concerns that you may have.
Yeah, that was my concern. If it rained the night before, or rained that day, if you stay off the infield of the softball field, that was my concern.
Yep. That's SOP for us on that. Yep.
Okay, all right, that's good. The other thing is, going on Father's Day weekend, you happen to be on June 18th, correct? Saturday?
Mhm.
So you're at almost the longest day of the year right there, so that, the sun doesn't set until, almost around 8:30 or so. So the fact that you're closing down around that time is probably a good thing, because you're not, if it was earlier in the year or later in the year where the sun's going down at 7:30, that's a little bit of a problem. But I think the way the timeline is on this, you're in good shape. It is a great event. It's an international event. And it gets, when you see the nature of the runners that you get, you've gotten some world champion class runners to this event. It's a qualifying event for other bigger events. And the times are spectacular that the people running this thing. And of all the races I've ever run in, this layout of the 10K is probably the most pristine layout you could possibly get in a road race. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful and well received by the Islanders, and I think a lot of people come out late afternoon, early evening and cheer you on. So it's a great event. It really is a spectacular event.
Any questions? Any comments? Okay, guys. We're good to go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
So in that, the board is approving the event and approving the exemption from the noise code.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
And what about the deposit?
Thank you.
Whatever they-
There's a public benefit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yes.
$100 gonna break it. No.
No, it's just.
Okay, next on the agenda is the mooring process. And there's been a lot of talk around town, in the paper. Why are we doing this? And if it's not broke, don't fix it. BJ, you want to give us an overview of what we're
start.
doing and why?
Yeah,
we're doing it?
it's not broke. I guess I should have made that clear. Could it be better though? Yes. So that's what we're attempting to do, to just add choices for the boater. How do I get my mooring? Come in, great. Do it online, great. How do I renew my mooring permit? Come in, great. Do it online, great. Also, we want to involve the Bay Constables in the process of enforcing the mooring code. So we're just bringing them on, thinking at the beginning of the process of actually placing the mooring or approving the requested placement of the mooring would help in that enforcement process. It's pretty straightforward. It's really just a readjustment of a paper flow for part of it, and then a readjustment of a slight redirecting of the WMAC committee, which is another place I want to get to if I could. The mooring process I feel is done. I don't really want to say too much more about it because it's plebeian. Did I say that right? But I do want to talk about and get a sense of the board that we redirect the WMAC a little bit in terms of a longer range focus. And it ties in now with what the comprehensive plan needs. So in getting to our natural resources soon, within a month, 2 months, we don't have a timeline. We would like to ask the WMAC, they've already done a great, a year ago, did a really nice, each member, most of the members responded to the question of what do you want to say to the comprehensive plan? With, well, we think you should think about this, think about that. Well, what I'd like to do is, and I said this last night, next month, we focus on those suggestions of think about this, think about that, and ask them to flesh that out. Meg and I will review and pick the sort of top topics for the comprehensive plan, and then ask the WMAC for their assistance in developing what should be in there for the long range health of our waterways and the long range, the service of all the conflicting users. I shouldn't say conflicting, but the users that sometimes are in conflict, the paddle boarder versus the water skier, the bayman versus the overnight anchorage, that sort of thing. So these are big issues, they're important issues. And as was mentioned in the op-ed in the paper, there's 125 years worth of experience here. Let's use it. So I really, if the board is okay with that, I think we really should do that. The other thing that was mentioned last night, and I just got another email about it, I'm not familiar with, it's the New York State local waterfront revitalization program. And it was just said, well, we should look at that. Well, that's another track that I'd like to put them on.
It's a very, very involved process.
I
I wouldn't do
understand.
Anything till the comprehensive plan.
Oh, okay. Oh, do you want enough, but since you're familiar with it, do you think it's worth examining to see if it should go in the comprehensive plan the town should look into it, or you don't want it?
Want to spend another year on the comp plan?
No.
Well, we could make it an action item to explore it.
Right.
Yes,
once
that's
the
what I
plan is
mean. That's what I
finished.
mean. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I would like to task, again, the WMAC, the members that are familiar with that, to give a good summary of what it is and what it would involve so that we can be knowledgeable about it, putting it in the comp plan. And I just want to say that, again, it's not broke, don't fix it. Actually, by improving it, we're just hoping that the public is just better served because of the new availability of online moorings, the information that they can gather there, and the updating they can do. Like I just changed boats, and I brought in a form to the office here, new registration, all of that. Well, easy for me. I come here every day, but for people who don't come here every day, those records could be more easily kept up to date by the boater if they could access it online. So I think that's all I have on that.
BJ,
Yeah.
I've had the discussion with you and Megan with the committee that some of this has to do with, or some of the process that we're looking at has to do with when we did a transfer of commercial moorings in
Yes, Ramsey.
Ramshead Inn, and now the potential transfer in Deering Harbor, that, well, maybe we should take some back because there's a need for them. So I think one of the charges for the WMAC is, what is the need? Just like you do in the comprehensive plan, what's build out going to be?
Right.
What's build out on the water going to be?
I have
And I know
here.
there was discussions about grids and.
Yes, I have here in terms of what I'd like to charge them with, but I think that there will be more. This is just the starting, delineating the mooring fields, meaning let's draw a boundary around them, beyond which we want to go no further. The max build out in each field, what's the number? Now that's going to be a range in each field, because if it's a whole bunch of 22-foot boats and not 38-foot boats, it's a different number, but we can get an idea. And the final one, again, just from, it's brought up fairly often, and especially in my review of past minutes of the WMAC, is the cleaning up of the bottom. What's down there, what's been left, what's been abandoned. How do we do that? What's the technology, that sort of thing. And the final thing is, and I'm not sure this is actually for the comp plan, but the WMAC, and maybe it's an action item to say that the WMAC should be recommending perhaps changes in the mooring tackle that is less destructive to the bottom. I don't know what's out there, but I understand new stuff comes on and, maybe
Conservation moorings, which is what we tackled about 3 years ago and never went anywhere.
it never went. So, and there might be new stuff since then, Jim.
No.
So
They were going to do an experiment with 8.
that's what I'd like to see.
Conservation moorings inside of Cockles Harbor. And we were going to do a before and after, take a look at the bottom,
Mhm.
photograph everything down there before, based on the conventional moorings that we now use,
Mhm.
and then replace those and see if there's any improvement in terms of the sea bottom and,
Right.
you know, around it. So that's something that, you know, we could look into as we move forward.
Right.
I think last night's meeting was, it went over 2 hours, but the first 40 minutes of it was dedicated pretty much to what we've been just talking about. And I'm going to quote from BJ because I think this is important. It says, the WMAC to include long-range planning to protect the island waters from the pressure of the ever-increasing population and sometimes conflicting uses of our waterways. I think that's something that's going to be a main focus of the WMAC as we move forward. I think the other thing is, perceptions. You know, one person says, well, it needs to be tweaked. The other person says, no, it's broken. The other person says, no, it's worked fine. Why are you messing with it? So it really is about perceptions where you sit. The fact of the matter is, it's like 3 people coming out of a movie and 3 people give you 3 different recommendations on the movie. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are in between. But my whole thing is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement in everything that we do. So we shouldn't be afraid to say, this is not in any way, shape, or form a reflection of the 7 gentlemen that sit on this committee that have done a phenomenal job for decades on this WMAC. I have the greatest respect for them. They come with a lot of experiences, as we just said, 125 years worth of experience on the water. They bring a lot of different insights into the discussions. They do a marvelous job. Could the town code have helped them a little bit better in the past in terms of, updating the dock code and updating the mooring code and getting a better understanding of, who is a resident and who's not a resident, and these are things that come up all the time. So I just would like to improve communication. I would like to have a more focused future for the WMAC. And the other thing we talked about largely was the turnover. If we take the average age, most of these gentlemen are in my age group. And as you know, I'm moving on in a year and a half and it's time to get younger. We have, and John Needham, does a marvelous job as chairman, mentioned 4 names last night. I won't mention the 4 names because but they're 4 very, very qualified people that are looking to perhaps join this committee in the future. So my thing is, I don't want to see a mass exodus off of any committee, nor on the town board. It's always better when you work through, attrition a little bit and they get a retirement here or somebody decides not to run. Those are good things because they fit in and you can, over a course of time, you still have a good operating base. People learn from the people that have been there. They come in with new ideas, just like I've seen with the CAC. The 2 people that we've just picked up on the CAC, valuable insights, and really are starting to change the direction of the CAC. So I kind of like that. I think that has the same potential here in the WMAC. I thought it was a very, very good meeting. Again, communication wise, we don't need to feel threatened by change. And again, it's all about perceptions on how you would evaluate the current situation. Current situation is we have a good system, but we can get better. That's the bottom line to me. And that's the mission. That's why we're all elected, by the way, is to work towards improvement so that we elevate our game plan and we actually execute things that are beneficial to the taxpayers here in Shelter Island. And for the boaters, that's important. But it's getting more complicated out there. So we have to be a little bit aware of that. And part of that too is even the Seagrass management plan, which I'll discuss it at the end of the meeting.
Jay, the only other thing we will be discussing, and probably before we start the budget, are mooring fees.
Yes.
And some people say, well, why are you raising mooring fees? It doesn't cost that much to issue the permit. But what we as a town board have been trying to do is go with user fees. And all waterways management money should be used for water-related projects.
Right.
And that also includes the Bay Constables.
The other thing is, it's a town, it's an asset of the entire island, used by some,
Mhm.
And so there should be not remuneration to the greater island, but there should be a recognition that a town asset should, there should be some
Well,
payback.
that's the whole premise of
Yeah.
the user fee.
The
then.
user
We're not
fee.
just putting it on the tax.
Right,
base. Yeah.
right.
One important thing that happened at the meeting last
Right.
night that I
That's what I was-
that I should mention is that Peter Vielbig and
Oh.
Bo Payne were both present for the entire meeting, except for the last maybe 5-10 minutes, because they had another conflict with their meetings. But having the Bay Constables there, working side by side with the WMAC, there's a lot of good insights that they see. There's a lot of good dialogue that went back and forth in this room last night between the Bay Constables and the members of the WMAC, where, again, a perception, where somebody on the committee feels that there's an issue, and I'll use West Neck Bay as an example, West Neck Harbor, excuse me, as an example. It gets busy there on the weekend. So you have people on the beach, on Shell Beach, you have boaters, you have the Monantic Sailing Club that comes out there, you have people that are water skiing, you have people that are pulling kids on rafts, you have wake conditions, you have as many as 70 boats tied up, rafting inside of the mooring areas, sometimes outside of those mooring areas, people coming a little fast around the corner. You got Wade's Beach on one side. So, the police department spends a lot of time down there monitoring that, the number one thing is safety, speeding, being respectful of fellow boaters, sailors, and, especially on a Sunday afternoon. So having them in the same room and having that dialogue going back and forth was very helpful last night. And it should be something that we encourage in the future.
Okay. Anything else on this one?
Yep, good.
Okay, believe it or not, it's 1:40 and went through the agenda. Around the table, Meg.
Just allergies.
You're going to speak about allergies tonight? Come on.
That's all I've got. I think that's all I got.
How are we doing with the consultant? Is that wait for them to get back to us? Or?
You want me to go? So you.
What on
I don't have any.
Well, we
consult-
combined
yeah, yeah,
everything.
Yeah, we were waiting for the town board response to
Right.
our suggestion, and so we're still waiting for that.
Yeah. So I have nothing new to report.
All right.
Yeah, last night we went through a lot of the meeting. We did look at 4 applications last night. Dottie will give you the results of those. I think Christine is probably right, has written them up or will be writing them up. So most of those applications we processed. Under new business, we also talked about Daniel Lord Road. We talked about West Neck Harbor speed limits. We talked about the comprehensive plan a little bit. We talked about chapter 90-9 and 90-5A. Stephen, under chapter 90-5A, something was, it wasn't intended that we left it out. There was revisions made to that, right?
No
BJ?
rafting. It's the prohibition on rafting.
Yes, yes.
I'm working with,
Okay.
I'm working with Amber Wilson on that to
Okay.
cure that
So-
issue.
so that's some-
Because I wanted to do a forensic analysis as to see, because there was an amendment
Yeah.
done, and I wanted to make sure the town board didn't remove it. So I'll get back to you on that.
Actually, that was chapter 90-9 E1. Reinstated in the town code. It was a mistake when it was deleted. And they voted on a 7-0 vote to reinstate what had been in 90-9 E1, which was inadvertently left out. So it was a good meeting. Daniel Lord Road, just to give you a little brief, this is something we're kind of focused a little bit on. We spent probably 20 minutes, a half hour looking at Daniel Lord Road from above. We measured actually from the dock heading east, which is on the south side of the road. It measures 153 feet. And from the dock on the west, coming slightly around the bend to the edge of the road, measures approximately 40 feet. It's actually a little longer than 40 feet because it comes around a curve. So we were trying to figure out how many
Okay, you're
boats, how many mooring slips we, pulley slips we have right there, pulley moorings. And the Bay Constable said, you know what? Let us handle it.
Mhm.
So they are going to go out there. Bo and Peter are going to go out there. They're going to survey the area. They're going to look at what we have there now. We're going to try to standardize it like we talked before. We're going to try to clean that up.
I say it's the pilot program for
So, yeah, it's kind
standardization.
of, yes, it's like the pilot program for the stake and pulley moorings. Okay, so that's something that they wanted to spend some time talking about. We did talk about residency again for eligibility for applications. That was something, and again, I think it was, we talked about the domicile definition that Stephen has been using in the past, and I think Bill Garrity kind of endorsed that from one attorney to the other, saying that he thought that that was a very positive thing, so.
However, he sort of indicated that, it should include some sort of, it shouldn't just be an occasional user of the property, even if
Right.
you own it. So that's, those sort of fine points have to be, worked out in the code, in terms of when we say we're going to tweak the code, that's exactly the thing that, no, it's not broken, but resident could be clearer.
Yeah,
So-
you have to have skin in the game on
Right.
the island.
Yeah.
You just have it.
Yes, correct.
Right, right.
And that's what they feel, they
Yeah.
want to see something like that. Moving on to the capital planning meeting, we met this morning for a total of about 30 some odd minutes. It was a quick meeting. All 5 people were in attendance. We talked about the wastewater treatment up at the Heights. Stella has been away for a couple of weeks on a family vacation. She's now back at work starting today, so I didn't have a chance to speak to her because I've been tied up with meetings all day long. But 2 things I want to talk to her about. One is the second feasibility study and how we're going to fund it. And I talked to Supervisor tentatively about a little bit about a concept that I might want to share with her. The second thing is she's scheduled to come in next week on next Tuesday to make a presentation with Joe and I on the update so that the taxpayers in the community understand where we sit with the Heights treatment plant.
Mhm.
Fresh Pond is, we're waiting to have that dialogue with CPF. Fresh Pond Neighbors Association also is involved in the discussion there about possibly getting involved with donating a piece of land, so there's at least one inquiry up there of one homeowner that sits around the pond that is looking into what it would take in order to get that treatment plant, get a treatment piece focused up there. We did talk about the municipal wastewater treatment. I went over the 6 selective criteria that our town engineer, Joe Fenora, has provided with us. Just to reiterate, this is the property on Manwaring Road and the selective criteria. It's great because the town owns the property. Number 2, it's got a dynamic groundwater travel time, which is the shorter time is better. Number 3, it's suitable size, shape, and grade, and has the soil consistency that we're looking for to accommodate the needs of the system. Number 4, it's suitable for zoning. Number 5, it's in the vicinity where the users are, which would cut down on infrastructure costs because we're not having to pipe it all the way down to the airfields, thereby saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. And number 6, the site must be limited and no downstream groundwater users, which when we looked at the ground flow last week and we saw that where the ground flow went, that was perfect. I couldn't design anything better. So as far as a selected piece of property, I want to thank Joe, Jerry, and everybody involved with this, and with Lombardo's Associates for taking the time to look at many, many other alternate sites and selecting this site because we think we have a good site as we move forward. We'll be moving forward with updating the engineering report and keep the town people appraised. At Real Point, no update because that won't happen till the fall of 2022 when the Army Corps comes in and hopefully does their feasibility study. Crescent Beach bathroom, we are going to be pouring the slabs within the next. They'll be done by the next couple of weeks. The trailer is due in by mid-May, so that's 2 of the 3 pieces right there. The third piece, unfortunately, is the gazebo. And because of problems with bidding and getting, necessary supplies, We had to be rebid. We finally got Horizon Structures to bid the people that did the one down at Wade's Beach. But unfortunately, when that's going to be a 16, 18-week kind of block. So Mr. Supervisor will either going to be doing it at the end of the summer, you know.
We're still gonna put the pad in though.
We're going to put the pad in, most definitely. Everything that's going to be done,
Right.
you know, prior to that. Shelter Island Community Center across the street. Again, we've had some problems with the bidding there. With all the things that came up this morning, you know, I think we're going to probably delay this till after two events. It's cutting it way too tight because it's one thing if we were just doing the stairway and not the roof, but the roof complicates the issue. So we are really actually going to do it after the two events. And the one event, of course, is Memorial Day weekend, which I believe is May 30th or somewhere around there. And then after the 10K, because the 10K is going to be using those, and we don't want that place to be a wreck. So as soon as the 10K is finished by Father's Day weekend, which is, you know, towards the third week in June, we'll get hopping on that and hopefully bang that thing out in 2 or 3 weeks and have that thing done hopefully by early or mid-July. In terms of new business, the West Neck Water contract, we moved forward with that. Last week, we had a good meeting with the, here at Town Hall. And it was voted in at Friday's meeting by a vote of 5-0, which kind of sealed the deal in terms of the lease agreement that we have with the Suffolk County Water Authority. ADA compliant thing, we're waiting on some bids there. We're talking to consultants. The recycling roof paving is going to happen hopefully sooner rather than later. You know, when you deal with these pavers, they'll tell you what they want to tell you, what you want to hear, hopefully, and then 3 weeks later you recall them and say, where were you? And they get tied up with other things, but the paving is going to come sooner rather than later. The gutters, unfortunately, Mulligan did pull out with the gutter thing, so that's going to take us a little while to get that thing done. The recharging station, again, Amber made some good points about, you know, the spreading ourselves too thin, perhaps, but I would like to pursue it if we had. There's nothing wrong with finding a couple of good locations in the future if we decide to expand this. But again, I think that's something that I would want Jerry and Amber to sit down side by side and have a discussion about whether you felt it was feasible for us to move forward sooner or later when it comes to that kind of, you know, that kind of project. In terms of the USGS title warning, I'll release, I gave it to the papers. This is a golden opportunity. It's 100% fundable. It's being funded by the USGS, along with the Peconic Estuary Partnership, along with the New York State DEC. It's going to involve two things down at the South Ferry. We're going to be able to monitor the water as it moves through, and we can look at water quality data collected there at about a half a meter above the seabed. And we will be looking at things such as water temperature, specific condensate, which is the salinity factor, dissolved oxygen, pH levels, chlorophyll levels, and a host of other things, including nitrates. So there'll be a lot of data that we're collecting there at that site. Not only will we be monitoring water quality, we'll also be monitoring tides. So we will we'll have another thing up on one of the pilings just to the east of the slips that will actually be able to take tidal readings throughout the day, 24/7, and that'll all be computerized. It's all sent back to a database, and that will be vital information for us as we move forward, especially when we're trying to secure monies to raise the plazas in those areas as we see tides start to increase. That project will be up and running by the summer of 2022 this year. PEP securing grant funding. There'll be a meeting, as I said, in about 3 weeks that I'm running with the Peconic Estuary Partnership, along with a whole bunch of people from the state, federal government, and I got some great ideas from Jen, which I shared with people back in the Peconic Estuary Partnership about the agenda for the day. So I want to thank her for that. Under new business, we talked a little bit about Hudson Avenue and some situations down there into Cockles Harbor that need to be addressed. And Jen gave us her updates. I would like to wait to report on those updates till I get them back in writing from her. But it was a very, very good, productive end of the meeting. The last 10 to 12 minutes, she had a lot of good ideas about how we can move forward in funding of some of these projects. So I'll wait till next week to wait for her write-up to be able to report back to you. The last thing I have is major objectives for the summer of 2022. I always kind of like I have 7 of them listed, and I'd like to share them with the public. Number 1 is the WAC, the drought restrictions, which we talked about. They worked on diligently, but we never formally adopted. So we need to resurrect that. We need to look at that again. We need to ask the WAC if they have any other changes. If not, to submit that document to the town board for us to review and to vote on. But I think that's, again, we're not waiting for the drought. We need to have this stuff in place. Number 2 is commercial moorings. We need as a group to be able to tackle that issue sooner rather than later. Number 3 is on Granicus and host compliance. We spend approximately $12,200 every year for that service to help us with the STRs and for all our rental properties, as a matter of fact, whether it's short or long term. And I've been talking to the building department, and they feel that perhaps they want to come here to make a recommendation on how we could do it better in-house and save taxpayer money. So I think we're always all ears to that. So I think that should be something that we really move forward. The contract ends at the end of the summer. So the time, Mr. Supervisor, is June and July to take a look at this, those recommendations, and invite them in. Number 4 is Seagrass management plan. We never adopted a Seagrass management plan. We have one written. We do have notes that we got from our shell fishermen that should be incorporated to that, but I'll take it upon myself to try to put all their concerns in the Seagrass management plan, submit it back to the town board for your review and for your vote. Number 5 is the deer management plan. I talked about a little briefly last night about that. Obviously, I would be lying to say I was a little disappointed in the flyover results. I thought the herd would be a little, the numbers would be down a little bit more than they were. I'm not interested in spending $25,000 a year as one town board member every year to have a flyover. I think we've done it for the last 2 years. It's been good data. It tells us a lot about where deer are on the island. But I asked when our next meeting was, and he said sometime in July or so. And I said, maybe we could revisit that and maybe have a meeting, because I would like to get our act together prior to the deer management season coming forward. So hopefully we'll be able to take that. Number 6 is seeking grant and other funding opportunities, which we talked about. And number 7 is the noise pollution and quality of life issues, which the supervisor addressed at the beginning of the meeting, which may or may not happen this summer, but it's something that we will look at down the road. Thank you very much.
Jim, what was your number 6?
Number 6 was the grant, seeking the grant and other funding opportunities, which we will go. That'll be a main of everything that's on that list. For my focus, that's the most important thing down there, because we are shovel ready with a lot of things ready to go here. We need to get them funded, and that includes the West Neck water infrastructure. That includes the municipal wastewater. That includes getting our second study done at the Heights treatment plant. That covers everything. ADA that we're working on, and community housing, which we're working on. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of funding. So no time like the present, as this money is hitting the ground, that we got to get on this. All right. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Jim. Amber?
Community housing was canceled last week, I should say. But I was one of the people who attended the Red Cross sheltering training. So thank you to the Red Cross for coming out and speaking to us. It was a gathering of the fire department, EMS, various town departments like seniors,
Rec.
ED, rec, yeah, about rec, and also Suffolk County. So it was a good opportunity to just ahead of hurricane season to start, refreshing. It's been a number of years, I think, since the Red Cross was last year, at least since I attended one of their training sessions. And Chief Reed, who also wears the hat of the Emergency Management Services Coordinator, I probably have that wrong, but he is going to be meeting with the various departments to just update and refresh on plans as we go through. So and that should happen before we get to like the main, worrisome part of hurricane season on Shelter Island. Not that we don't have a plan already in place, but it's always good to refresh and see if there's anything that we can do.
They also updated their sheltering plans to account for COVID. So they have new ways of laying out cots and new management styles to handle COVID while sheltering large groups of people. So it was very informative.
Yeah, and I think the thing to keep in mind is in a very severe storm, it would probably be 3 to 5 days before the Red Cross would come in. And therefore, we do need to be self-sufficient. So this was a very important meeting to just get everybody back together again.
I think what the general public doesn't understand or doesn't think about, including myself, is all the planning that goes into this. You see it on television, like, oh, it just happens. But, the chief is very, diligent in having his updated groups. And we're always getting new people involved, going over the senior center, going over the school, going over who does what. And it was very impressive to see the group that was there that day.
Yeah.
Oh, and school, they were present too.
Yeah,
Obviously.
right.
You would forget somebody.
Yeah, that actually came up this morning I wanted to thank Joe and Chief Reed, that hazardous mitigation plan. The drop dead deadline for those applications are June 1st. For additional funding, and they're seeking additionally, they've identified the generator as a backup power source for the community center as something that they wanted to look at. But I want to repeat that, just what Amber said, that they meet periodically, that, more often than we know to handle this, because this mitigation plan is very involved, covers a lot of territory, and is something that the town board needs to pay close attention to. Because it covers the needs, not only the current needs, but the future needs of the island. So thank you very much. One other thing, Amber, I'm sorry, I forgot to say this,
I'm done anyways.
but I should congratulate the Shelter Island Country Club, and specifically Gordon Cantley and his board for inviting the Public Works Department and the Highway Department up Saturday for a free round of golf, drinks from 2 to 4, and hors d'oeuvres. 8 or 10 of the guys showed up. There were a bunch of foursomes that were out there. They appeared to have a great time. I went up and took some pictures, spoke to them, thanked them very much for the work that they've done up there. They have really transformed that public golf course, that historic site, into something you could be very proud of. And it's only going to get better. There's a plan in place, and I have to thank Brian Sherman and Kenny Lewis and that whole crew of people that have been working up there. But it wasn't just 2 or 3 people that were involved in this. It was a lot of the highway guys at the recycling center, the Public Works Department. In fact, the Public Works Department got up there and worked for quite a few days in the kitchen to get the kitchen ready well before they opened up. So when they came back in, everything was the way they wanted it, and they cleaned up a lot of the problems that were the leaks.
We just lost Zoom.
We lost power.
Okay.
that
Yeah, so
flash.
give her a minute.
Okay.
Sure.
They
Zoom is
probably
on?
TV.
Oh, okay.
It was just the TV that.
Yeah, most likely they brought the power back up on 115.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right.
So thank you very much to the Shelter Island Country Club. It's a great gesture. And, once in a while, it's nice to tip your hat to the workers here. And I could see for the smiles on their face, they definitely appreciated being recognized. So thank you very much.
Good. Thank you. Amber, you done?
I'm done.
BJ?
I just have this question. Where are we on the house on Cozy Lane?
Well, you have to ask
Oh.
Stephen.
Conroy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Conroy.
Is that the street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 Cozy Lane.
Yes, since the previous report was over a year old or
Right.
even longer than that.
Right.
It became stale. So
Okay.
Reed is preparing, in the process of and he's going to present it to the town board at a work session. Then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
I
And
just want to make sure we do everything
And
fairly by
It's
the
a big
book.
step.
it is a huge step of Silver Beach Association. We want it to be done right. We're not looking to rush this. And there were two major actions done there, but that wasn't a year ago. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, and the other one was 4 years ago. So it's been a while. We really need to re-inspect, take additional pictures, try to get this information to the owner, and do it the right way. So,
Because the remediation we are contemplating is
correct, is severe. Right.
So we want to make sure all our
Right.
ducks are in a row legally.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Stephen, you have anything for us?
No, Mr. Supervisor.
Dottie, you anything on your end?
No, thanks, Jerry.
Okay, we'll open it up to the audience. I see Kim Bonstrom has his hand up. Kim?
3 minutes.
I think I can be less than 3 minutes. Could we get an update on the status of Middle Harvey Road Town Landing and whether you've sent out the notice to remove the dock pursuant to your March resolution?
Was there a resolution?
Huh?
Was there a resolution?
Yes.
Oh.
There's been some good faith negotiations with the owners of the Rams Head Inn. The town attorney was indeed authorized to issue a letter. And if a resolution cannot be procured, we will definitely move forward. At the end of the day, that is the position of the town. So I will provide an update probably by next work session.
Okay, the Rams Head Inn, the new owner of the Rams Head Inn has no interest whatsoever in that dock, the Eklund dock on the town landing. So I'm not sure I understand why your negotiation with the new owner has any impact on the town landing.
It's something that I will discuss with the board and you'll be made privy to that. So that's where we're going to leave it.
And we're going to do this behind closed doors then.
Anything that's happening is not triggering open meetings law, so nothing's done behind closed doors.
No, but I'm saying you indicated you're going to be speaking to the board, but the public is going to be kept in the dark about those discussions. Is that correct?
No. I said I'd make you aware as well. I make you as the public.
Is there a timeline on that? It's been 13 years.
No. I just said by the next work session, I was hoping to update the board.
So you're not going to send out the demand letter?
Again, that's something that is in-house, what strategy we employ. But I will update the town board and the public at the next work session on Tuesday.
Well, it is pursuant to a board resolution, so it's not in-house. It's now in the public.
I think Stephen said everything he's going to say on it, and we'll wait till next Tuesday to firm it up.
All right. What about you, Jerry? Do you have anything to add?
No, I just said that next Tuesday we should have our ducks in a row and be legal advice, and we'll move forward.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? William Darrow?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. I just wanted to touch on the noise ordinance because it was a little bit hard, ironically, to hear what you were saying at the very beginning. So maybe need more amplification in that room and less amplification other places. But I would hope that whatever investigation or exploration the town board considers or undertakes will include residents and not just individual business owners coming to express their desire to increase the sound at their businesses. In looking at other noise ordinances around Shelter Island, like Sag Harbor and Greenport, It does not seem that our noise ordinance is out of line at all with theirs, and they have very robust businesses. So I would hope that the board would reach out to especially neighbors near these businesses that are likely to be wanting to increase their sound before making any changes, and to do that early on so people can comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Brad?
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to quickly follow up on Bill's comments. I too would love to be a part of and hear about ongoing discussions with regard to the noise levels and ordinance that was as part of the initial part of the agenda. Shelter Island is a mixed community with businesses and residences all across the island, and so I think it is an important issue, important for the community, important for just sort of the general environment around. So would love to be part of that, hopefully public process.
Yeah, just to give everybody a little history on this, I was supervisor when we instituted this 23 years ago, and it involved all the surrounding neighbors of all the businesses as well as the businesses, and it was put in place for the residents, not for the businesses. So we certainly will have everybody involved, and that's one of the reasons, if you didn't hear me at the beginning, that the town board felt that it's too late in the year to even begin a discussion on this. We'll be observant this summer, and then we'll talk about it in the fall. Anybody else?
Yeah, my only comment on that noise situation, by the way, is that having been the president of Silver Beach for the last 12 years, we don't have any businesses down in Silver Beach. Their main problem, well, the residents that live down there, is about the noise from from landscaping and cutting of trees and high-powered machinery, and that's something that it's a quick fix. It's an easy fix as far as I'm concerned, and I think when we look at the noise ordinance, we need to look at everything, not just businesses, but also go back to respecting what Sunday is set aside for. And it should be a day, we talk about quality of life issues and living here. It is nice to have one day where you don't have to listen to all of the junk that's out there making a lot of noise. The other thing is to have reasonable hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., not at 7 o'clock in the morning, not at 7 o'clock at night. And maybe Saturday having, a slight different schedule, a little shorter. But we want to work with them, and we want to work with businesses, but quality of life issues. And one of the most attractive features of Shelter Island is quality of life and the fact that you can go in your backyard and just, hear the birds chirping, so to speak, and not hear, 9,000 leaf blowers and people taking trees down on a Sunday afternoon. It's just one of those things that I think life gets very complicated here on Shelter Island. I think we need to simplify. We need to go back to basics, but we need to be respectful of people that live in communities that are used to having, a decent noise level, at certain times during the day in the morning. So I would like to see it encompass everything when we get to it.
Pam?
Hi, I just like to chime in on the noise as well. There's been difficulty with the noise ordinance in enforcement. On occasions when the police have been called to investigate a noise complaint, they often don't have the decibel meter with them. And I'd like to see that that's in every police vehicle on the island. If we're really going to start to keep track of how many complaints you have and how many people are in violation of this code. I will tell you personally, when this code first went into effect, I was in violation of this code because I had a private party. And the sound of my party traveled across the water, and someone on Little Ram complained about it. I had already alerted all of my neighbors that I was having this party. It was no trouble with the Ram Set In or anyone else. So I just think that that's really important. Enforcement of the noise ordinance is more important than changing the code in itself.
And I just want to chime in on the logistics here. The town board welcomes all public input. So we're not even at the stage of a code amendment at this point on noise. Again, the business community approached the town board with a request to revisit it. And so that's what the board at some point is going to do. And it's going to necessitate at least, I would say, 2 work sessions, where there will be opportunities for the public to make comment, and then also public hearings in connection with any proposed code amendment. So it's a long way away from a change, or for a change rather. So just wanted to put that out there.
Bill?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to follow up, Mr. Keeley. So your statement that the business is approached and so the town board will consider and have some work sessions, does that mean anybody can come forward and ask for something to be reviewed, to be changed, and the town board will do that? I just don't understand why
I
businesses.
think
get this
anybody can
special.
come.
Yes.
Can come to the town board with anything. When the vast majority of the inns and restaurants came to us, we felt it wasn't one group coming, it was all of them. So yes, we will address it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just for example, we just had the shell fishermen in. They came as a group and asked us to look into the code and make a code amendment. So the door's open for anybody to come in and request a code change. That's part of democracy.
If I can add, Stephen Jacobs came in and just wanted clarification on TDRs, what we were thinking of. We weren't even close to, and we had I thought, a really informative discussion. So yeah, approachable.
Anybody else? Julia? I'm gonna guess that's a no, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the school play this past weekend. Another resounding success, and it boggles my mind what those kids can do. And of course, with the Cassics and all the other folks involved in it. So it's just a very nice community event. And I know on Sunday it was sold out. I'm sure the other nights were pretty crowded too. So that's all we have. And if nobody else has anything else, are we,
Yeah, we have.
We have executive session.
we're
for
going into
interview.
executive session? Oh, that's right. We have an interview discussing the employment history of a candidate. This will be the second interview.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor?